If you live in warm climates like California, Florida, or parts of Texas and Arizona, you're lucky. You get to RV all year long. But for everybody else, there's a season, typically from Memorial Day to Columbus Day. And when the season is over, you have to winterize by removing all the water from your lines, or if you live in a really cold climate, fill your lines with the pink stuff. Food grade antifreeze to prevent your pipes from freezing. And when spring rolls around, one of the most exciting times of the year, it's time to reverse those steps by de-winterizing. And it's a great time to check everything else to make sure your RV is ready. Because we're with Ronnie from Airstream Nuts and Bolts, we thought we'd have him share with you how to properly de-winterize and get ready to roll.
I'm putting him on the spot because it's that time of year we're going to de-winterize. And you said something about a checklist?
Yeah.
He's got a checklist. He's got a checklist. And this has been a brutal winter. This is the winter that broke me.
I'm not doing this anymore.
Everybody knows that's why we came out to Florida. If you're ready for the snow to stop and you're ready to pull the RV out of storage and de-winterize it, we got the expert here. He's going to go through step by step. We're going to do tires, water, lubrication, seals, and the roof, and we're going to do the I was going to say hot water heater. We're not going to do that. It's just the water heater. See how I learned? Okay, first up, tires.
Yeah, tires, running gear. Pretty much anything that allows this thing to be mobile. We want to kind of check. So with the tires, obviously if you've been sitting for a season, things we're looking for, you want to look for dry rot. We're looking for cracks in the rubber. You know, you want to look at the tread, your tread depth. You want to make sure your tires are going to be good to go and carry you through the season. Checking air pressure inside that. If you have a TPMS system, it may be a good time to check batteries.
Yeah.
Make sure your batteries are good in the TPMS system. You want to check your lug nut torque.
We did that, and for Airstream 110. Do you know what other towable RVs would be, or where do you get that
most aluminum rim rigs are going to be 110 foot-pounds. If it's a steel rim trailer, it may be 125, but the owner's manual or manufacturer specifications should be able to tell you that. You know, we want to look at the shocks. We want to kind of make sure that they look like they're in decent shape, that the bolts that hold them in place, they're on there. We're looking underneath the rig to make sure that nothing's hanging down, that there's no loose wires, no loose propane lines.
Well, because it's been in storage, so maybe there were like some critters.
Right, you could have mice or something like that.
Yeah.
So kind of inspect the propane lines that are underneath the rig, make sure that you're not dealing with any you know, critters, rodents or anything like that chewing them. Make sure everything looks pliable there. You can also do a visual inspection of the tires. Make sure you don't have any nails, screws, anything like that that could have been in the process of when it was there. It's a good idea if you're mechanically capable. You may want to check your brakes. So that involves pulling the tire off, spinning the hub, checking the pads, and making sure that the brakes are operable and going to be able to function throughout the camping season.
He's going to get it.
All right, water, big one.
So 2 systems, I guess mainly for the water system is we have our holding tank. So our freshwater storage that we're able to take with us when we travel on the road, and then we have our city water hookup. Let's talk about the city water side first. When the trailer was winterized, if you used RV antifreeze, obviously that antifreeze is still within the system. So it's a good idea to connect city water and flush that out. You know, you're running the faucets, you're draining the system out. If your low point drains are still open, you want to make sure that they are now closed, and just basically a general purge of the entire system. You know, your water heater is going to have a bypass valve on it so that you don't have 6 gallons of RV antifreeze in the tank. You're going to want to make sure you get all that set back up the way that you want it. And then on the tank side, a lot of people like to sanitize the holding tank seasonally. And the recipe that I have for doing that, it's commonly available on the internet, would be 1 cup of regular household bleach per 15 gallons of water. So if you know what if you're a 30-gallon tank, you would put 2 cups of bleach, 30 gallons of water. You allow that to sit in the tank for 24 hours. And then at the end of the 24-hour period, you turn the faucets on, you pump some of that through the system. And then you'd want to pump it through the system and let it sit in the system for 24 hours. And then after that's over with, you would drain the tank completely empty, refill the tank, and then reflush the system out with fresh water. We've even taken ours in the past and put 1 cup of bleach in it and 15 gallons of water before we leave to go on our first camping trip. And we will drive with just 15 gallons of water and a cup of bleach in there and let it kind of slosh around inside the tank. Then when we get to the campground, we do our switch over. And that way we've kind of sloshed it around in there.
And then of course when I met you at Rainier, I know you did this on your shower. I've changed these to these thumb locks because I was so tired of having to fill my fresh and having to walk, I know it sounds crazy, but walk all the way around the rig to get a key to come over here just because I was holding the hose. What I have not done is I haven't done it to the shower yet. And because of that, I don't think, Trish, we've used the shower in like 2 years.
Yeah, it's such a headache to have to get a key to be able to open.
And these are very easy to just pop out and replace. But I need to do it here too. And I guess this would be a place too if you're going to flush out all your antifreeze. It's in this shower hose.
Right.
And a lot of times we learned the hard way a couple years ago. The shower lines were left on. So when we pressurize the RV,
it's just running out.
It's just draining out the bottom like that. So all right.
A lot of people on the winterizing side forget to actually put the RV antifreeze or drain this part of the rig, so this ends up freezing. So then when the de-winterization process happens, they end up with a busted fixture in there, and they're dealing with a repair.
Okay, so we've cleaned out the freshwater tank, we've sanitized all the lines through the city, and then we've rinsed it all down. Now we got to talk about the water heater.
Going.
Okay, Ronnie's gonna get some Teflon tape for me because on this water heater, we got this little leak coming out here, and I think it's because it doesn't have tape on it. So let's see. So I turn off the city and I turn off the pump, water pump.
All right.
And now, of course, I'm gonna get rid of the water here, right?
Yeah. You need to let the pressure off.
Yeah.
Right. So we're basically.
And because the water pump is off, this will stop because it's just draining out the pressure.
Right.
But the 6 gallons is still in here.
Correct. Because this strain is from the top of the tank, so there's still water below that point.
Okay. Now, had I not done this or turned off the city, when you take this thing out, it just
blows out at you. Plus some hot water, because that water's still.
Oh yeah, it's hot.
It's still warm.
Hey, this is a good reminder, as hot as this is, to let everybody know what the purpose of a mixing valve is.
Sure. Okay. So one of the reasons they have mixing valves on RVs is because the water heater, it allows our water heater to superheat the water level to more than you can tolerate, as Mark demonstrated. So when we superheat this water to say 180 degrees, which is way scalding hot, way too hot to be able to deal with, the mixing valve, as the water comes out of the water heater, it blends it with some cold water and brings it down to about 120 degrees. So what that does is essentially takes a 6-gallon water heater tank and turns it into like a 10-gallon, because we don't need as much of the hot water when we're mixing the cold water in with it, so it gives us more volume. That allows you to be able to use the water heater without running out with having the small tank.
Yeah.
But of course, when we do this, all the calcium, you've got the wand, but some of the calcium, when we refill it back up, could go through the system and get plugged up in that mixing valve screen, right?
Right. So you can tap it, you can clean them, take them off, back flush them. There's several ways to clean them out, but calcium buildup inside an RV water tank is one thing we need to be able to watch. You're all over the country, you're different places, people have hard water, soft water, all the different stuff. So you end up with all these mineral deposits inside the tank. So I highly recommend that when we're in the de-winterization process, or even in the winterization process at the end of the season, when you drain the tank, is to use some sort of device like this, which is just basically a wand that is a sprayer on the end of it and a valve to turn it on and off. And what you're able to do is you insert it through the drain here, connected to a water hose, and you can kind of spin it around inside the tank and help
you spraying the sides of the walls, and you're getting all that calcium to come down and drain out. So theoretically, if you do a real adequate job with this, it's not going to take the calcium through, because the first point it's going to go from here is the mixing valve.
Right.
And then it's going to go to all the aerators.
All your little screens and all your little faucets, you're going to get the calcium buildup in there. So by flushing this system out and allowing it to drain out, we hopefully prevent the aerator screens and the mixing valve from getting calcium deposits.
So if you remember last season, we were up in Kitty Hawk and we de-winterized, we hit the road, and we stopped getting hot water in our shower, which is, fun for the first couple days, like those cold showers, and then you're like, all right, I think I'm done with the cold shower thing. Sure. And so I took up Kayla's mattress, and there's a little hole, at least on Airstream, and I grabbed basically something like this, and this is the mixing valve, I just tap, and it kind of just shook all that calcium off the screen and allowed the hot. Now that's not a permanent fix, but it's way easier than replacing the whole mixing valve itself.
Right. A lot of people, you can actually take the mixing valve out and run water backwards through it. So back flush it and clean the calcium out.
But all of this can be prevented with a good cleaning.
Yeah. And this is not, you could buy commercially available ones. I made this one, but It's just a sprayer on the end of a rigid tube with a ball valve to be able to turn it on and off, and a good just rinsing it out. You know, you have your electric heating element inside there also, so it just rinses all that stuff off.
Okay.
Are you gonna put it on there the right way?
Well, I felt the judgment. So hold on. If I'm gonna screw it in like this, then it would probably have to go like that.
Correct.
Right?
So this is the reason that
I had a 50-50 chance, and Ronnie's watching me, and I did it right. Oh, phew.
So you can use Teflon paste or Teflon tape.
Wow, that's a lot. That was way more than I was gonna put on.
I can still see the ridges though.
That's a lot. Wow. He turned that thing like 10 times more than I was gonna turn it. Okay, it's hot, so I'm gonna take over this. I'm gonna do this part, okay?
Got it.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's hot. Turn the water pump back on, make sure there's no leaks here, right?
Yeah, we're gonna need to refill. What I typically like to do is leave this open.
Oh, really?
We'll turn the city water on. This allows the air to purge from the tank as the tank fills. Once we start to get water out of here, we'll close it down.
Oh, nice. You know, weird. Speaking of flushing out the tank system, isn't another good way of flushing it out is to actually leave this plug out and then pressurize the system and just kind of have it drain out too?
It can, because it'll try to fill it and it's gonna drain water back out of the system.
and then use the wand. Just one more step. Okay, let me turn on the water. There we go. Oh yeah. There we go. So Ronnie checked out his list, a list that we're going to make available at keepyourdaydream.com/de-winterize. And one of the things on that list is to check for leaks. Now, if you caught last weekend's episode, Ronnie and I went around, we really repaired some leaks. We had a leak on the P-trap underneath the shower because of the way that the drain, the little plumber's tape there was starting to leak down. We had a leak on our fresh water from our winter camping trip that we got taken care of. So this would be a good time when everything's pressurized to just go around and make sure nothing's leaking, because if there was a small leak like underneath your sink, it could be a big problem. You're like an audience. This is great.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot. I'm a peanut gallery.
This is a scaffolding you probably use for solar installs and stuff like that, right?
All the time.
Yeah. First of all, these need to be cleaned.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of pollen. It's that season here in Alabama for sure.
Yeah.
So
well, we've been traveling a lot, but it probably is a good idea to clean these panels like often, right? Especially when you're off grid.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously the cleaner the panel is, the more it's going to be able to absorb the radiance of the sun, so the more energy output you're gonna get out of it. I mean, it's not something I would necessarily obsess over on your trip. I mean, you don't need to clean them every morning. But it is something that you're going to want to clean on a regular basis, and at least when we're doing our de-winterization, we want to make sure we're in tip-top shape for the season.
Yeah. All right. So what is some of the stuff we're looking for on the roof in the beginning of the season?
Yeah. So things we're looking for is anything that's mounted to the roof, like solar panels. Let's just check them and make sure that everything's down. That we don't have any screws backing out. That we don't have any sealant or sealer around them that is coming up around the factory sealant on the roof. So we're looking around the skylights, we're looking around the fantastic fan, you know, we're looking in just general areas throughout the trailer at the sealant for cracks, lifting, any of that type of stuff that's there as far as sealant is concerned. We want to make sure that we have a general overall audit of the roof. If there's an area that's suspicious, it's probably better to go ahead and seal that, you know, at the time when we're starting the season.
Reseal or seal over?
Seal over.
Okay.
You can seal over it. In a situation where we had a spot that was maybe lifting, you're going to want to remove the part of the sealant that is lifting so that you're not applying sealant over an area that's not going to stick. But in most instances, you're able to use an Alpha 1 product or a Dicor self-leveling product and just mechanically remove whatever area you need to. Clean the area really well with soap and water. And then reapply some sealant over that area.
Gotcha. I've heard things like little fingernail hairline cracks in sealant can cause problems because water puddles. It
can, and that's the water puddles and water wicks. So any area that there's a spot where it can sit, it's going to wick its way in. Some other things we want to check when we're on the roof is our air conditioned cowlings. So if you'll look here, Mark, so there's two screws in the front and then 2 screws, one on each side. These areas here, you want to make sure that this area is not busted out of the plastic, so that when you're going down the road towing the RV, that this doesn't catch air, blow off, I mean, we've probably all, if you travel any amount, you've seen air conditioning cowlings on the side of the interstate.
Yeah.
It's due to the fact that one of those cracked and created an issue. Skylight wise, we want to make sure that this thing is still, doesn't have any cracks in it, doesn't have any holes in it, it's not coming off.
Boy, that looked pretty flimsy. You have a different skylight that's a little sturdier, don't you?
Right, so there's a company out of Texas called Maxim Skylights that makes a skylight that's significantly more durable than this. It's actually a Miami-Dade county rated skylight. So hail and things like that are not going to necessarily damage it. It has an aluminum frame around it. In fact, if we turn and look, you can see my dirty solar panels and skylight there. So
your RV's been sitting in the pond longer than mine.
yeah. Other places you're going to look is when you have, like, this is the oven vent.
Yeah.
Exterior vent. So the top of this area here is foam gasket. You want to make sure that that gasket's in good shape, that these screws aren't backing out, and that everything's good. So this is a good point for a leak. As water comes down, it sits on top of this vent and it can leak there. So this is an area here you want to pay special close attention to.
Lubrication.
Sure. So obviously early in the season, right before we start, it's a good idea to make sure that everything moves like it needs to, and then we got everything lubricated. I use mainly 2 different products, but the primary product we use for lubrication is just Boschel T9.
Yeah.
Boschel T9 is a souped up WD-40 version.
It's like an aviation stuff too,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's aviation, made by Boeing.
Yeah.
So some of the points that are wonderful to lubricate would be door hinges. So you want to work some in to the door hinges. It doesn't take much, and this stuff just kind of bleeds in. Catch the top one here, same thing.
And I just did this recently because these doors are crazy squeaky.
Yeah, so it'll help with that. Another great place for Airstream customers to lubricate is obviously the door lock itself. So the mechanism for locking is these 2 claws here that grab.
Yep.
And they get a little sticky. So see, that one didn't latch all the way in that time. So a little squirt in here. I always say this stuff's kind of door fix in a can. It works really well to kind of make sure that everything moves like it needs to. So I'll do that, and then I'll just kind of work it in a couple of runs there, and then that'll help kind of keep things moving like they need to there. Another place that we use is the stabilizer jacks. Obviously, there's an Acme screw that allows those to go up and down. So you want to make sure you put a good coating of something on them.
Show me where, because I'm not entirely sure where to put that.
All right. And what we'll use for this is Corrosion X.
I love Corrosion X.
Corrosion X is the reason I like to use it. It's a little bit stickier of a product, so it tends to work better. I'll use the straw because it'll give me a little more focal application. But this long gear here, I don't know if you can see this Acme, it's called Acme screw. That screw there is typically where you're wanting to apply there. So the Corrosion X will have a tendency to stick to that better. Then once you've sprayed it on there, you're going to want to cycle the stabilizer jack up and down in order to.
I happen to have it right here. Okay, here we go. Now this Corrosion X literally just dissolves rust.
Yeah, it works really, really well to remove the oxide. On the aluminum skin of an Airstream, if you have an area that has filiform corrosion or something like that, Corrosion X is a great product to use on that also, because it'll help kill the corrosion.
Now I also use it on window latches, because our window latches sometimes stick. Check this out. Look at this. I can look at that.
Whoa.
You can see how hard that is, like this. And over here, I can't get it in. I can pull it with 2 hands, and maybe I can snap it. So watch this. It's Corrosion X. Oh, I really should take. Okay.
You could
I gotta go around. I'm gonna open the window and I'm gonna get in so I don't put this all over the screen.
Okay.
Stand by.
Hello.
Put a little of that there. Okay, now watch this. It's only been like a couple seconds. Look at this. Is that amazing? And it'll get even better. Airstream latches are notorious for this, but if you have anything that is exposed metal, this stuff is ridiculous.
Game changer.
Game changer. Had to mention it. Look at that. I'm gonna go do the rest now. I just got to thinking with this Corrosion X, this has always been kind of sticky. So let's see how that does. That's amazing. I forgot to show you. Come here.
Okay,
Come here. Look at this.
right
Look
here.
at this.
Look, you look.
No, you look.
Look, put it right there. Boom.
You're too-
Carson's with us. So it really does add up if we go out.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, I'm listening.
All right, so I talked about corrosion X not too long ago.
Yeah.
Okay, look at this. Is that not amazing?
Wow. Wow. That's fantastic. These are the things you get excited about.
Yeah.
Some other places on these stabilizer jacks would be any pivot point. So, you know, around the bottoms down here where these bolts are, there's another spot here on the side. So any of those that we can get some lubrication in the early season is going to make sure that that part is going to function throughout the season without giving you any trouble. Awning's another point that that has a lot of moving parts on it. So this slide rail here, there's a rail in here that slides, allows you to be able to extend that. You know, you can squirt some down in and just let it work its way down into the hole.
No, gotcha.
That side there. You know, you're just kind of working through all those areas. You can cycle the awning. If we have a ladder, you can cycle the awning and put a little bit in here.
Okay.
Where the roller is. I'll just spray it now, and then when we cycle it in later, it'll pull some of that in. But any of those points along the way, you know, you're dealing with areas up against the trailer. And mainly, I mean, these points, there's quite a bit of leverage here, so these points are going to work.
Yeah.
The lubrication in that point is just to prevent being a wear issue.
Gotcha.
Over and over. So on my Globetrotter, we have an automatic awning, and it has a worm gear inside the awning itself, and I will open it. So if you'll look back here on the back side, Mark, there's a little pinhole. Mm-hmm. Just a little hole right there, and you can stick the tube in there, and you spray it. And that makes sure you have plenty of function. You gotta have the lubrication in there to be able to get it. So when that jams up, that'll cause the awning to bind. And a lot of people have problems with these automatic awnings, and it's because they're not properly lubricated. Storage locks, that's another place that the lock mechanisms for the storage compartments and the hinges. All of those, I mean, there's quite a pivot mechanism there, and it lives right there, so you can just kind of spray a little.
Can you hit that again?
Yeah, see, right in here is where your pivot mechanism is on the latch. So you just kind of spray a little bow shield in there. And then you're going to need a rag when you do this, but a lot of times you just come in here and kind of spray some along the top of the hinge, and it'll wick its way in. And then when it does, then you just kind of come back and wipe off any excess.
We're de-winterized.
Really? Ready to go?
We're ready to go.
Done. Let's do it.
Yeah.
We've been ready to go.
You've been ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I stay ready. I'm ready all the time. Ronnie's the one that holds me up because he's always trying to do something different than the trailer. I think the trailer's fine. No, we need to do this. I'm like, do we? Do we? Or is it good to go? We could just go now.
I love it. Last we spoke, we were talking about lunch. And now we need to go see the farm so that we can talk about dinner.
Yes.
Because we're going to do black and blue burgers.
I love it.
Let's do
good.
it.
All right, so Ronnie took us through, obviously, the tires, lug nuts. Is Charlie taking you away? Brakes, stuff like that. And then we did lubrication on everything. We talked about the roof, and we talked about the water and the water heater.
Yes.
So we are completely de-winterized. We were partially de-winterized before, but now we're really ready to go. We're going to Nova Scotia, but don't tell anybody yet. We haven't actually announced that yet, but that's where we're headed. And you'll probably see that in an upcoming video.
Yes, but not just there. All the beautiful little stops on the way from Florida on up, and the beautiful cities.
Like Montreal, Quebec City, maybe even Toronto on the way back, but we're not quite sure because we have to get down into maybe this season do our 50th state, which is Nebraska. We see all these things with a little bit of apprehension because we don't really know what's going to happen when we get on the road.
No.
All I know is we are ready to get on the road. We just have a little bit more stuff to do back in Florida, and then we're off.
We passed the torch. It is the clapping torch. You absolutely 100%.
You've deserved it. It's yours now.
So now whenever you need a smile in the shop, you just hit that.
There you go.
There you go.
It'll live in the shop.
Sarah, what do you think of the clap, the applaud button?
We can put it.
You guys are mad at me.
Okay, listen.
Yeah. I'm listening.
I'm officially Southern now. I'm having pound cake for breakfast.
Yes.
It's absolutely delicious.
Say goodbye.
Oh, it's 8 in the morning. 9.
I know, but a goodbye is a goodbye.
Oh my gosh.